The arena of Verelion Prime had been built for humiliation. Suspended in orbit around a dying blue star, the massive Colosseum glowed like a jeweled crown against the darkness of space. It was where the Verelion Empire displayed dominance, where conquered warlords were executed, where rebellions were extinguished publicly, permanently. And today, for the first time in history, a human stood in its center. Commander Elias Ward did not kneel. Chains of adaptive grav metal restrained his wrists, humming faintly as they adjusted to his strength. He stood tall despite the wounds lining his face. Blood had dried along his collar. His uniform, once crisp and dark, was torn from battle. Above him, billions watched. Across thousands of systems, transmissions carried the event live. Humanity had fought the Verelion Empire for 3 brutal years. It had not gone well. Earth's fleet had been shattered at Tau Ceti. Mars had surrendered. Lunar defenses had collapsed in under 9 hours. And Elias Ward, last commander of the Terran Outer Defense Fleet, had been captured. Today was supposed to be the end. A hush fell over the arena as a golden procession entered from the eastern platform. She arrived not with soldiers, but with silence. Empress Calith Verelion. Tall. Luminous. Draped in flowing iridescent regalia that shimmered like captured starlight. Her crown was not metal, but living crystal, grown from the core of her homeworld. Her species was ancient, telepathic, superior in nearly every measurable way. And she had personally requested to witness the execution. The crowd roared as she took her throne. Elias raised his head and met her gaze. He expected arrogance. He found something else. Curiosity. The High Executor stepped forward, his elongated form casting a shadow over Elias. Human Commander Elias Ward, he announced, voice echoing across the arena. You stand guilty of defiance against the Eternal Throne. Your species resisted integration. You cost this empire resources, ships, and lives. He paused. Do you have final words before your extinction? The galaxy leaned closer. Elias exhaled slowly. Yes. The High Executor smiled thinly. Speak. Elias lifted his chin, not toward the executioner, but toward the Empress. You came to watch me die, he said, voice steady despite the blood on his lips. So watch closely. Murmurs rippled. You think humanity lost because you broke our fleets, because you burned our skies. His voice grew stronger. You think resistance ends when a body falls. He smiled faintly. You don't understand us. The High Executor scoffed. Proceed. Elias turned slightly, addressing not the executioner, but the billions watching. You mistake survival for victory. Silence spread. We are not strong because we win, Elias said. We are strong because we endure. The executioner raised his weapon, an energy lance crackling with annihilation charge. Humanity will rebuild, Elias continued calmly, even if it takes 1,000 years. The lance charged brighter. And one day, Elias finished softly, eyes still locked with the Empress, you will wonder if killing us was your empire's greatest mistake. The executioner fired. Middle, the moment that changed everything. The blast never reached him. A flash of violet energy intercepted the lance midair. The entire arena froze. The High Executor staggered back in shock. Between Elias and certain death stood a shimmering barrier, alive with royal energy. All eyes turned upward. The Empress was standing. Her hand was extended. The barrier radiated directly from her. Gasps filled the arena. The High Executor's voice trembled. Your radiance? Calith did not look at him. Her eyes remained fixed on Elias. Remove his chains, she said quietly. Silence. Your Radiance, the executor whispered urgently. This human-orchestrated fleet sabotage. Remove his chains. The command carried telepathic weight. The grav metal restraints unlocked instantly, clattering to the arena floor. Elias flexed his wrists slowly. He did not run. He did not bow. He simply watched her. The Empress descended from her throne, her luminous robes trailing behind her like a comet's tail. She circled him once, studying him closely. You stood knowing you would die, she said, voice soft but amplified throughout the Colosseum. Yes. No plea for mercy. No. Why? Elias met her gaze without hesitation. Because I wasn't speaking to you. A flicker of intrigue crossed her features. Then who? My people. A murmur swept the stands. You believe they will rise again? She asked. I know they will. The High Executor stepped forward, panic rising. Your Radiance, this is theatrics. Execute him. Humanity must see. She turned her head slightly. The Executor collapsed to his knees mid-sentence, crushed beneath invisible psychic force. The arena went silent again. Caliph returned her attention to Elias. You do not fear me, she observed. Should I? I have ended civilizations older than yours. Then end mine, Elias said calmly. But understand something first. And what is that? If you destroy us completely, you will never know what we could have become. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Explain. Elias took a breath. You've studied our technology, our military doctrine, our biology. You think we are primitive. That is accurate. And yet, Elias continued, we fought you longer than any species in your expansion era. That was true. And we did it while divided, politically fractured, economically unstable. The Empress was listening. Imagine what humanity becomes united, he said quietly. The words hung in the vacuum of space itself. For the first time, Calitha's composure shifted, not with anger, with calculation. You suggest alliance? She asked carefully. I suggest opportunity. The High Council members began projecting emergency communications into her mind. Tradition demanded his execution. Dominance required spectacle. Weakness would invite rebellion across outer systems. She felt the weight of her ancestors. She also felt something new. Possibility. Caliph turned toward the billions watching. In all my reign, she said, her voice carrying through every broadcast node, I have witnessed countless final words. She paused. None like this. She looked back at Elias. You do not beg for survival. No, you offer value instead. Yes. And you believe your species will one day rival mine. I believe, Elias said carefully, that we would rather stand beside you. The arena trembled with tension. The Empress faced the High Executor, still pinned beneath psychic force. You called this human primitive. Yes, Radiance, he gasped. You are wrong. She released him. Then she did something that had not occurred in 12,000 years of Varelian rule. She extended her hand to a condemned prisoner. Gasps exploded across the Colosseum. Commander Elias Ward, she said clearly, I stay your execution. Shockwaves rippled through the galaxy. You will not die today. Elias looked at her hand. Why? He asked. Her voice lowered, so only he could hear. Because I came to watch you die. She stepped closer. And instead, I saw something my empire has not felt in centuries. What? Challenge. Climax. A throne redefined. The High Council erupted in outrage. Across the empire, governors questioned her judgment. Military officials warned of weakness. But Caliph did not waver. She summoned an emergency convocation of systems, a gathering reserved only for declarations of conquest. Instead, she declared something unprecedented. Humanity will not be exterminated, she announced before the assembled holographic council. They will be offered integration as sovereign allies. Outrage followed. This defies imperial doctrine. They attacked us. They will betray us. Caliph stood. For 12 millennia, we have expanded through fear, through demonstration of superiority. She paused. And what has it earned us? Silence. Stagnation. The word struck harder than any weapon. Our empire is powerful, she continued, but it no longer evolves. She gestured to Elias, standing beside her in formal restraints, not as prisoner, but as representative. This species adapts through adversity. They create under pressure. They innovate when cornered. She looked directly into the primary council lens. If we crush them, we erase that potential. And if they rise against us, one counselor demanded. Calitha's gaze sharpened. Then they will challenge us to become stronger. The chamber fell quiet. She turned to Elias. Commander, if I grant humanity sovereignty within our borders, what do you offer in return? Elias answered without hesitation. Partnership. Military? Yes. Technological exchange? Yes. Cultural transparency? He hesitated. Selective. A faint smile touched her lips. Honest. He met her gaze. You could have killed me. Yes. Why didn't you? She studied him for a long moment. Because if your species can produce leaders willing to die standing. Her voice softened slightly. I wish to see what else you produce. The convocation concluded with the narrowest vote margin in imperial history. Humanity would live, not as subjects, but as probationary allies. The galaxy reeled. News networks across conquered systems broadcast the headline repeatedly. The Empress spares human commander, offers alliance. Rebellions paused. Political factions shifted. For the first time, the Varelian Empire had chosen restraint over annihilation. And it began with one human who refused to kneel. Following action, the quiet conversation later, in a private chamber overlooking the stars, Elias stood beside Caliph. You risked your throne, he said. I redefined it, she corrected. You'll face resistance. I welcome it. He studied her profile. Why me? He asked quietly. You were prepared to die. That's not rare among humans. No, she agreed. But you were not fueled by hatred. He didn't answer. You spoke of future generations, she continued. Not revenge. She turned to face him fully. Empires survive on fear, but they endure on vision. And you think humanity offers that? I think, she said carefully, that you force us to confront our complacency. Silence stretched between them. Not uncomfortable. Transformative. You came to watch me die, Elias said. Yes. And now? She looked out at the stars. Now I intend to watch your species rise. End of the story. The shock that echoed through time 10 years later. Historians would mark that arena moment as the turning point of galactic civilization. Human engineers introduced adaptive shield matrices that revolutionized imperial fleets. Varelian telepathic sciences unlocked breakthroughs in human neural medicine. Joint exploration missions charted sectors previously deemed unreachable. Conflict did not vanish, but something else emerged. Respect. Commander Elias Ward would later serve as Earth's first ambassador to the imperial throne. Empress Caliph would become known not as the conqueror, but as the catalyst. And across the galaxy, when young cadets studied the day humanity was meant to fall, they would replay the recording. They would watch a human stand unbowed, They would watch an empress raise her hand, not to destroy, but to shield. And scholars would agree on one truth: she came to watch him die. Instead, she changed the fate of the galaxy. And in doing so, she ensured neither of them would ever be forgotten.